Hello and welcome back to the Mustang Blueprint. I'm your host, Celie Stockman, along here with my co-host.
Anna too.
And we are here with...
Mavi, Valentin, how are you guys?
I'm good. I'm really glad that you're able to be here today. You are one of the key components in driving this to the Mustang Blueprint to be what it is. So we're very happy to know you and have you a part of the team. So today we're going to kind of be focusing on your journey as an international student. So maybe just give us a brief, who is Mavi? Who are you?
Okay, so I'm Mavi. I'm from Brazil. I came to the U.S. for, staying long term when I was 16, so I was pretty young. I'm now 24. I came to SMSU on my junior year, so I'm a transfer student. So I'm kind of, a little non-traditional, I guess, international student. And yes, I think that's kind of a little overview.
Okay, so then growing up in Brazil, went to high school. So then you were, at what year in high school did you come to the U.S.?
I came to the U.S. after I finished my last year of high school.
Oh,
Yes.
wow, you were young then.
I was, but I was a year ahead, and Brazil only has 3 years of high school instead of 4, so that's probably why it's kind of shocking. I finished high school at 16. It's not like I'm a prodigy or something. But.
Yeah, and I think it's different. I know I've been older for my grade, so that is kind of crazy to me, but very.
Yeah.
So then, what went into your decision to come here?
Okay, so I was on the last year of high school, kind of a background, little info, I guess, from Brazil. For every single university you apply, you basically have to do an SAT. So it's not one for all, it's one for every single one. So if you apply for 10, you have to take 10 SATs, basically. And at that point, I was like, do I want to go to med school? Do you want to be an engineer? Do you want to do law school? And then I finally was like, I'm going for law school. And then one day I woke up and I'm like, you know what? I'm 16. I don't want to have to decide what I'm going to do for the rest of my life right now. I have time. Mm-hmm. That's when I finally went to my parents and I'm like, I want to go and explore and I want to go to the U.S. And they're like, okay, but you speak no English. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that, how was that transition to, did you learn any before you came here, or how did you go about learning a whole new language?
So we do have English in schools there. I would say it's pretty basic. You stay on the verb to be for 10 years. You don't really learn anything, to be honest. I did start private lessons, and I would go to class for 2 hours, 4 days a week, and I would do a lot of studying on my own too. But when I got here, I basically would not starve, but I could not hold a 5-minute conversation in English. But one thing I think it helped me, I was never scared or afraid or ashamed. I would go and talk to people, and I'm like, if I have to mimic, I'll mimic, and they will figure it out, and that's how it was.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was curious because I know that people say that English is a really hard language to learn. Was that the same for you?
I think so. I think the hard thing is that my language back home is Portuguese. It's not Spanish, but Portuguese and Spanish are very similar because there's so much structure to what you're saying, there's a specific order and different things, and English seems like a mess to us. Mm-hmm. And I could not put things together, and I'm like, it's just a mess. It just doesn't make sense. And my teacher looked at me, and she's like, you're only going to learn the day you finally get to peace with it and just know it won't make sense. It's just the way it is. Mm-hmm. And that's how I kind of progressed, I guess.
I feel like that absolutely had to have shaped you and how you look at learning in general. And I mean, you came here not knowing a ton of English, and then you had to learn regular subjects, correct? Without knowing the language they were necessarily taught in.
Yes, I spent 6 months in Florida kind of trying to learn my English, also swimming. That's when I started getting a few offers for schools, and that's when I'm like, okay, it's getting more real than I thought, so why not stay for college? And I remember my first semester taking macro or microeconomics, and I would be like, I don't know what's going on. And I would be like, is it the English that I don't understand? And I would Google things in Portuguese to try and understand, and I wouldn't understand either, and I'm like, definitely not the language, I guess is the subject. But it was tough, but honestly, it was the best way for me to learn because it was either you learn or you learn. So
yeah, you're just immersed in it.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you have a personal translator in your head, having to think in Portuguese and then translating it into English?
Yes, which is kind of crazy. That's how it was at the beginning. I would translate everything before I said it until I got to the point where now I feel like I fully think in English. And they say you know when you really know a language when you start dreaming. So I remember the first time I was dreaming in English that I could remember my dream, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm fluent now.
Oh my gosh, that had to have been like a crazy feeling.
Yes.
Like you made it to that point.
Yes.
Okay, so my next big question is like, how did you stay in contact with family, or do they come to see you here a lot? Like, how have you kept those relationships strong?
Right, no, that's a great question. And I love to say that I'm so fortunate to be able, my whole college career, I was able to go back home for summer breaks. I was able to go back home for Christmas break. The last 2 years, flight tickets are very expensive, so I wasn't able to go home, but my parents were able to come. So I'm so glad and fortunate, because I know it's not the reality of a lot of international students. Some of them will come, start their journey as a freshman, and they won't go back home until they're done as a senior, or even later if they get a job or something. So I'm very glad and thankful for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When you came here for the first time, what was your biggest shock?
Okay. I think it might sound silly, but dinner time. Like, you guys eat at like 5 p.m. and I'm like, if I eat at 5, by like 8 or 9, I'm going to be starving again.
So is that like, what's the usual time you would eat like in your
Like
hometown?
7:30 or 8. Yes.
It is crazy how like it's those little things like you would never think. Like we always assume it'll be something huge. Like I don't even know what to say as an example, but yeah, something
metric system.
or yeah, it's something as simple as the time you eat. It's just crazy that like that's like all that culture. So I guess kind of along with that. So you said you started in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get to Marshall, Minnesota?
That's what everyone asks me. It was solely based on scholarship.
Okay.
I was like, whoever offers me more, that's where I'm going, because, you know, like, still my parents were paying for my education in my currency from back home, which is very kind of different and very not really great compared to dollars or American dollars. So that was based all on scholarship. And I'll tell you, on my way from the Minneapolis airport here, I was like, am I in the middle of nowhere? Like, where am I going? Like, there's only cornfields and soybeans. Like, what is going on here? So it was a big shock. I come from a big city in Brazil. So that was kind of, I was like, oh, wow. Like, you know, but we have a Walmart in town. So what else can I ask for?
I mean, I'm still looking for that Chipotle, but
Me too. I'm
Yeah.
biased. I love Chipotle.
it's so good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of Chipotle, so I don't mean to like.
I don't know about that.
What would be something good you would want to see in Marshall then, like fast food wise?
I'd say a seafood boil place. I
Oh,
feel like that would be really
nice.
great.
Yes.
See, I gotta like expand. I'm not good at like trying that different stuff. So like, is there any? Let's kind of talk about that. Is there any food here that like really is like super American, and you were like, oh, what is this? I've never had it before.
Oh, I feel like we see a lot of stuff in movies, so I guess like you don't get like too shocked.
Yeah.
But of course, the American breakfast, you know, your eggs, bacon, and pancakes. That's always your go-to. I love that. I'm biased. Favorite thing, and you guys are gonna probably complain about me saying this, but I love tater tot casserole or hot dish, however you want to call it. That's my favorite American dish, I think.
I love that.
Yeah.
Did you ever miss food from home?
Oh,
Like,
yes. All day, every day. Yes.
Okay, so then next, how you kind of had talked about, oh, I want to be a lawyer, I want to do law, I want to do this. What did you settle on? What have you studied at your time here?
Oh, nothing too. Nothing that was close to what I thought I would go into. I did go for my bachelor's in business and with an emphasis in international business and entrepreneurship. And then I did my master's with emphasis in marketing. So nothing to do with med school, engineering, law school, but
Yeah.
really enjoyed it.
What led you to that?
It's very different here, which it's in a good way different. Like I said, back home when you apply for something, you do the SAT and you're already going into that major, you're applying for that major. Here I had tons of, you know, elective classes that I had to take biology, and I'm like, I'm going to business. Like, what does one thing has to do with the other? But I loved it because I'm like, what if I find out I really like biology and I want to pursue something that way? So I think it was just based on my classes and kind of seeing, you know, like what I want to do and what will give me more flexibility in the future to kind of decide what I want to work with.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you think you want your job to be? What are you doing now? Because you are an alum now.
I am. I'm not that old though. I am an alum, so I finished my bachelor's 2022 and my master's just last spring 2024. I work at the chamber now in town, and I'm their event coordinator, and I love it. I just get so much I just work with so many businesses in town, and it's amazing to see when you kind of get out of the university bubble to see like all the great things that we have here in Marshall. So I'm very, very happy where I am right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what was your growth like here at SMSU?
Oh, gosh. What is develop more so I can give you a good answer.
Studying style-wise, how you got to know others, how you made friends here that helped you grow?
I feel like one thing about my personality, I'm usually very like out there and I'm not shy at all. So I'll go and talk to people even if I don't know them, and I'm very curious and I'll ask things and try not to cross any lines or anything. But that's kind of how I got involved in a lot of the different, projects or classes or my friends. I was part of Enactas on campus. I worked with SMAC. I worked with AMA. So a lot of different things. And some of those things, AMA, for example, my roommate who was from Colombia, she was like, hey, I just got signed up to this club and I don't want to go by myself. Do you want to come with? And I'm like, sure. And it turned out it was an amazing experience and we loved it. And we stuck around for like 2 years in the club. So it was really nice. So I would say just kind of talking to people around campus and trying new things.
Yeah. And I was just going to ask, what would you give advice on with that experience?
Yes, I would say for freshmen, and not just international student, they're freshmen, but like in general, go out there, get out of your comfort zone, talk to people, because you never know who you're going to meet, different opportunities that are going to show up, and you just have to get out there and try, because you will never know if you like something or if you don't try. So might as well try it, right?
Real. That's inspirational.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I feel like what I've been kind of thinking this whole time is there's so much that goes into coming from Brazil to the U.S. There's a lot, the visas, all of that. Could you kind of go through what that process was like for you and maybe like your biggest supporters along the way in that journey?
Yes, definitely. So, I mean, it is it is a different process than, of course, a regular student. So we go through the school, you get approved, and that's when they send you your I-20, which is one of the forms. So you take that document, and in Brazil, and it's probably different in other countries, but you have to go to the U.S. Embassy, and you have an interview with them. So they will basically ask you, like, what are you going there for, school, and then you have the paperwork. They will ask who is going to pay for your bills here, who is going to support you. You have to send you don't have to, but it's always good to have more documentation than they might ask for. So I remember bringing all like my parents' bank statements and all those accounts, because you have to prove that you have enough funds to pay for your education here. So it's a lot of that. And then after that, fingers crossed, you hope they keep your passport, because that means it was approved. So they keep your passport and they send it back to your home in like 2 weeks or so. And then when you travel here, you have to bring all those documents back, because they might ask you questions when you're coming in through immigrations again. And yes, I do that every single time you go out of the country and come back.
Wow.
That seems like a really tough
Not
process.
the interview part, but like going through immigration in the airport and all of that and bringing this documentation, it's always good and it happens.
Yeah, and so I know we were kind of talking prior to starting the actual interview that you have your student and you get an extra year of that now that you've graduated, but you have to be working, and then you're going to transition into the work.
Yes, so as an international student, you have 1 year to work after you graduate, and you maintain your student visa. So you don't have to go to a work visa or any different visa. And that 1 year doesn't count for STEM, so science, technology, engineering, and math. They have 1 year, but they can also apply for a 2-year extension, so that gives them 3 year total. So I was able to graduate, find an employer. This employer will sign paperwork with immigration to say, like, yes, I'm hiring this person, and I have 1 year to work legally outside of campus with them with my student visa.
And what would it look like if you were to get like a employee work visa?
So there's different, a lot of different categories for an employee work visa in the U.S. So it really depends on what the person is going for. The most common one is probably the H-1B, which is like a lottery style. So basically, your employer will file saying like, "Hey, I want to hire this international or like immigrant. This is their information," and then actually they open the sign-ups, and it's open for about 3 weeks, and then after those 3 weeks close, it's basically a drawing. So it can mean like you might get it or you might not. So it's not really based on very silly example, but me, graduated here at SMSU, I can get it, and maybe someone that graduated from Harvard might not get it because it's literally a lottery. So you don't really have guarantees or anything like that. And that's how it works. And then you get approved by beginning of April, and then you can start working in October 1st. And that's as of right now, 2025. I don't know if people are going to watch this in like 2050 and things change. So don't quote me on that. Plus, I'm not a lawyer. So, but yeah, that's what it looks like.
So obviously at SMSU, I feel like one thing that I was always kind of told in my tours here and everything is the emphasis on international students. We have the flags and everything of all the different coming from all over the world. Do you think that kind of presence of other international students made your time here easier maybe, or just to get used to it here?
Definitely. I think so. It's great meeting people from like you said, all over, like so many different countries, and just getting to know them better. And then you see like, those were the biggest differences I saw when I got here to the US. And then you talk to someone from Taiwan, from like Nigeria, and they see other differences. I'm like, I never thought about that. And then you start talking, and it's just so nice. And I think it just opens up your perspective too, because if you only experience so much, it's nice to get somebody else's different, background or experiences and things that they were doing or noticed when they got here. So yeah, definitely makes it much easier.
Yeah. And when you got here, what's something that Americans did that you thought was weird and now you love doing it too?
Oh, that is a very good question. I think punctuality. Yes, we are not very punctual. I cannot generalize. I won't say all Brazilians are not punctual, but if you say like, "Oh yeah, let's have dinner at 7," I'm definitely showing up at like 7:30 or 7:45, and that's normal. And here it's like, "Oh, let's have dinner at 7," and it's like 6:50. And the person's there already. So I'm like, yeah, I appreciate that because, time's money. You got to be respectful of like everyone's time. So yeah, I do like that. And it's something when I go home now and then people are not punctual, I'm like, come on, you guys, we said 7. And they're like, what are you talking about? So it is kind of funny to see that.
Do you see yourself like staying here for the duration of your career?
Yes, that's my ultimate goal, definitely, yeah.
Okay.
And would your family ever want to move here with you?
It is kind of tough, like it's a big ask for them, but I do think so, that they would, yes. Not probably right now because also, like my parents, and they do have their careers there, so it's kind of, tough, like, oh, let me leave everything behind and move. But at some point I can see that.
Yeah, so right now you said you work for the chamber here in Marshall. And is there really a lot of room to grow at that position, or do you see yourself trying to apply to other places in the States or in Minnesota?
I think there's always room to grow. It's a great place, and I love working with the community because there's so many. So I do their events. So I wouldn't say like in the position, like I wouldn't grow positions because above me is just Brad, our president. But other than that, like it's definitely a lot of room for me to implement a lot of ideas and different things that we can work and do in town. So yeah, definitely look forward to that.
Does it have a wide range of things for you to be able to do it?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
I think my next thing is just, obviously you're here, you're still very involved in the Mustang Blueprint kind of student-run organization. You're no longer a student technically, but you're still a part of this. So are there any other ways that you expect to stay connected to SMSU as an alum?
Yes, actually, this will probably be the first time I say it. I don't know if I'm allowed, but I guess I will say it. I just joined the alumni board at SMSU, so I'm super excited for that because I was a GA for the alumni office, so it's like really great. And people there are amazing, and I just, really want to make sure that we connect with the young alum, because a lot of the times you see the older generations that they are really thankful when they want to give back to the university. And a lot of the young ones just like, I mean, you guys haven't graduated yet, but like I just graduated. You don't kind of see yourself as like, I just graduated. I'm just starting my first actual job. And I don't have the big bucks to donate or anything like that. That's not about that. It's just keeping those relations with the people that are there. So I think that's really what I want to try and work with. It's just like, how can we keep all of our fresh alums close and get them involved and coming to every single homecoming after they graduate.
Absolutely.
And, yeah.
So building relationships, friendships, it can be hard for anyone. But you came here with a kind of a language barrier as well. And so I feel like you're one of the best people I can think of to ask, how do you make and maintain great relationships in the workplace and just in your life, social life?
Right. I think it's hard. I can tell you guys maybe a funny story what happened to me my first day with the swim team. So I was back in Iowa where I started my college career, I guess. But in Brazil, when you go and like you meet people, you literally like you hug them and you give them a kiss on the cheek. Americans they're very, like keep my distance, like this is my own space, shake hand, that's all. So I get on all this swim team, and I'm like, hey, you guys, I'm Mavi, I'm from Brazil, and I'm going around and hugging and kissing people, and these people are looking at me like, what is she doing? And some of them are like, their arms are like next to their bodies, like no reaction, and I'm like, oh, this is different. And then the next person gets there, and they're doing the shake hands, and I'm like, I guess that explains a little bit. So there is a little like difference, but they were all fine. They didn't think I was crazy. I was like, sorry guys, I didn't mean to, cross the line on your privacy, but just showing some affection here. So yes, one other thing was very different for me too. We're very, like, we talk to everyone, and, like, I can meet you guys now in 5 minutes or know my whole life. And here, I feel like so many people I would talk to in classes, and then I would, walk past the hallway, and they would not even look at me, and I'm like, didn't we just talk yesterday? And then at first, I would sometimes say hi, and people wouldn't say hi back, and I'm like, was I rude? Like, did I do something? And no, and then I just found out it was the way it was, and I'm like, you know what, I'm not gonna lose my essence, and I just kept saying hi, and I'm like, if they say hi back, good. If they don't, it is what it is. This is who I am, and yeah.
I think I was meant to be from Brazil. I'm feeling that right now. Like, I would totally love to meet someone just like, hey, bring it in. Like,
yes.
Yeah, that is because I feel like, very private people.
Yes,
I think that's so true.
Yes.
But then kind of along with that, those are kind of the things that surprised you. But what has been one kind of trait or something that you've kind of gained that has helped you make those relationships, keep them, and have fruitful relationships?
Yes, I think like a lot that helps is just like so many things that we're involved on in here that we ended up being involved with friends and living on campus. Like you're literally 24/7 together. So you have so many opportunities to go out and do things together and explore and start projects and do this. And I think that really helps on the bonding aspect, and just keeping it close and staying closer together and keeping that like social life very active too.
Well, since I know that you started in Florida and then you moved up to Minnesota, what's the most Minnesota thing you've experienced so far?
Oh, Elena is here in the back, and I have to say, she gave me a full Southwest tour. Her family has a farm, so she took me 4-wheel driving. She took me on I might say wrong, the big tractor that you use for harvesting. Combine, yes.
Heck yeah.
She took me in the cornfields. I ate a corn from the cob, like literally took it out and ate it, and it was amazing. I loved it. So.
Wow.
I will call that my most and best Minnesotan experience.
Yeah, I feel like that kind of transitions into like that opposite side of it. What are some of the biggest ways that you have helped like keep your culture alive and well, like in your heart?
I cook a lot at home, so I try and make, my comfort foods from back home and try and keep that. I talk a lot with my friends from back home too, and I mean, thank God for technology because I honestly don't know how people did it in the 1970s, you know, by letter. I'm like, I call my parents every single day and we talk, you know, and my friends. So it's really helpful to keep that going. Sometimes it's tough. I feel like there are days that I'm not speaking my English to the fullest and not Portuguese to the fullest. Some days I'll make up words and my parents or friends will be like, what are you talking about? I'm like, isn't that how you say this? And they're like, no, like I have no idea what you're trying to say. And I'm like, oh, great. So just like those small things. And then plus again, like I'm fortunate enough to like being able to being back a lot of times throughout my college time in here. So that for sure helped me to keep it alive inside of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And remind me, how long have you been here in the U.S.?
It's been 7 years, around 7 years now.
7
And
years.
Yeah.
I want to build off of that. So out of the 7 years that you've been here, what is the best experience or memorable moment that you've had?
Oh, I would say everything. Like, because I feel like when you get here as an international student, everything is new, everything is exciting, everything looks like the movies. Even the smallest things that, like, you know, campus will have, and people think, like, oh, this is boring. Like, I'm too old for this. And it's all the internationals, and we're all so pumped. We're like, oh, my gosh, like, this is awesome. So everything, and I feel like everything that you go through in this whole, like, journey, it just kind of helps build the, like, whole experience. And even like we were talking even before the cameras were on, like I would do this again and again and again. Like I don't regret for a second coming here, and I think it's one of the best decisions I ever made. So
Yeah, I feel like it's just a testament because I know I just have such a hard time making decisions. And like coming here, a big part of it was sports and all that. But it's like my mom always told me, like, you're never stuck anywhere. And I feel like you went to a whole new country. You weren't stuck in Brazil. Like, that's just so amazing that you can say, like, yeah, I did that. And that's kind of just being a role model for so many other international students and just new students as well.
right, and even for like American, I tell that to all my American friends. I'm like, if you have the opportunity, go out there. Like you don't have to go live in a different country. You don't have to go, you know, stay for 6 months. Even if you go for 2 weeks, go to a different country, go get a different like perspective. And I'm not saying like go to a poor country or, you know, no, like just get out there. Because I met so many people throughout my journey here. They were like, oh yeah, I've never left the state and I have no desire. And I'm like, why would you not?
Huh?
Like,
What?
I'm like, go and explore, because I feel like it just brings you like a whole different perspective. And not just for like, oh, I travel, that's fun. But you get to see so many things that you're like, oh my, like I'm complaining about this and look what's going on out there, you know? So yes, everyone, if you can, go travel, go explore, and you will never know if you don't try. So you always have that, you know, you can go and you're like, I hate this, I'm going back. Just go back and it's fine.
I definitely agree with that because I think you see the world in a different view, in a different light, especially if you travel locally or in different countries as well.
Definitely, yes. I moved here, so my first semester was spring 2021, and that was still COVID, but we could, you know, like sports and things like that. And I remember like my teammates, and I'm not calling out on them because that was their perspective for the moment, and that's like what they experienced through their lives. And we had to do COVID testing at the big gym 3 times a week. And they would be like, I hate this, my nose hurts, and this is terrible. And I'm like, you guys, like 3 weeks ago, so we all had to have COVID tests to come back to the US. I literally stood in a line for 4 hours to get a COVID test. And I didn't know and I knew I didn't have any symptoms, but I still had to get a test. And I was like, are these people around me, do they have COVID? Am I going to get COVID? Like, what is going on? So when I got here and we were testing 3 times a week at the gym, like you walk in, get it tested, leave, I'm like, this is heaven. And they were like, oh, I hate this. And I'm like, what are you guys talking about? So it's just like small things like that, and you know, like I said, it's not their fault, it's not anything, but it's just a different perspective of things that happen that sometimes we don't really have a broader idea.
Yeah, I feel like kind of getting to the end of our time here, I just kind of want to close with asking you, like, you've brought up all these things, new perspective, try everything. What is like something that you've learned in your time in the US that you value the most and you think holds the most value?
Oh, That you got me on the spot. On there. I think that's it. I think it's never. I think something that getting to know so many people and often we're very, and that includes me, everyone. We're so quick to judge, like, why are they doing that? Like, this is so wrong, or like, oh, this is weird. You don't know where they come from. You don't know the experience they had throughout their lives. You really don't know their background. So for them, that might be like the most normal and natural thing to do. You just don't know. And it doesn't mean it's right or wrong. So I would say be out there. Try. Don't judge people. Get to know them before you make up your mind. So I think that's the biggest thing I learned throughout my years here. Or the things.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can gain a lot from this, and it's just super interesting kind of just to hear that different side of things.
Yes.
But yeah, thank you for joining us, Mavi. It's been awesome to have you. We hope you stay on our team and stay around.
I will.
Yeah.
We hope to see you forever.
Yeah, well, that's another episode of the Mustang Blueprint. Thank you guys for watching.
That is 100% true. Because I started out, I was terrified to host. I never wanted to do it. We had a team of 4 people, and every single week I was just behind the camera. And I never once thought about hosting until this year. I was like, well, maybe I could give it a try. And I am like just absolutely in love with it. It's just, it's so rewarding to sit up here and have a decent conversation with somebody. So